Good morning, everybody. This is Dixon Does It. I'm that Dixon guy, and today we got a sump pump that I don't really like. Let me show you what I'm looking at here. So there's the sump pump. There's just so much light over here. But as you can see, it only goes down so far. This is a submersible pump, and it's not submersed. And that's the floaty part comes up. I'm going to use technical terms here. The floaty part floats up and then turns it on. Well, by the time it gets up there, this whole thing is pretty much soaked. So there's always water sitting really high in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug this and I'm going to get rid of this black flex line because that's garbage. And when this does actually pick up water, it sends it all the way up to my 10-foot ceiling. So I have 10 feet of water in here. And then when it turns off, it all comes back down right into there. So what's the point? The point is I picked up it's called a check valve. And inside, all it's got is a little door that when the water pushes up, it's open because it pushes it open. And then when it stops, bam, it closes. And they make them in quiet, but I mean, I don't really need quiet. See, little door in there. And then I'll turn it upside down, door's open. All right, good job. It's not hard. Okay, so let me get all this out of here. Okay, so I dug out my hole. It's a lot further down. How far should your hole go? Well, we're gonna be putting a bucket in there. So dig about as far down as a bucket. As for your bucket, you can get it from the blue box store, you can get it from the orange box store, you can get it from the yellow box. It doesn't matter where you get the bucket from. What matters is drilling a ton of holes in it. Drill the holes in it, top, all the way up, all the way down, on the bottom. Because when you put it in there, that's what you want to see. You want to see the water just coming in. Come on in, water. That's what it's supposed to do. And then, I don't have them right now, but I will get some stone, crushed stone, and fill in the sides. As for this not floating up, throw a bucket in there. A bucket. Throw a brick in the bucket. And make sure it sits flat. The other reason you want a brick in there is because you want your sump pump to not be sucking up the dirt that's going to settle on the bottom of that. You want it to just be sucking up water. So now that we have that, we can take our sump pump and we can put it in the bucket. Now, the water still has to come up some, but that pump is below ground now. That's way better than it was. And the issue I'm having is the groundwater is coming up through the floor everywhere in the basement. It's just not good. So I also have, old walls where the water comes through and it leaks through. And I'm going to build a channel, it puddles up over here, but I'm going to build a channel through here. That's another show. So now that we've got that, and I've cut this to the outside, I'm going to reuse the old hole. I'm going to start connecting my PVC pipe. So this is 1.5 PVC pipe, and that's what all this stuff connects to. And there's different ways to cut this. When I first started, I was using a hacksaw. That took forever. If you have a reciprocating saw, you just cut through it with a metal blade. Wood blades work too. I have some loppers. These things are expensive. If you're not a plumber, you're not going to want to invest in these. They are like $200. But they just crank, pop, cut them. They're nice. So that's what I'm going to be using. So I'm going to start connecting my pipe from down there to about there where I put the check valve. And then up here, I'm going to use some new J-hooks. These ones are trash. And run it over and out there. So let me get to work on that. So it's an hour and a half later, because this part which just threads in, is not coming off. It's not the right part anyways. This is for putting the black flex tube on. I needed the part for my 1.5 inch, which is this part. You know, you just glue it on and then screw it into the base. But I didn't have that. So while I was out, I figured, why use this rusty piece of junk that won't even come out because they probably didn't use any kind of Teflon or anything. And I went out and I bought a new sump pump. These are rather expensive. They're about $150 to $200, depending on what you want. They're rated. They had 2 of them. I wanted to cheap out and save $20 on the other brand. But what I ended up looking at was everything, because 1.5 inch check valve not included. We have that, our little green guy over there. You can buy a base that'll screw in and has a check valve in it, but it's constantly under the water and you don't know what's going on in there with all that slime and filth and stuff. I'd rather have one outside that is separate from this. That way I can replace it if needed and not have to replace the whole thing. Okay, a vertical float switch. So we wanted one that clicked up and down. They have balls that swing up and down like this. I didn't want one of those because I needed to fit inside my little bucket. This is why I bought this one. 11-inch minimum diameter sump pump basin. Minimum. So that's 12. I didn't measure it. I could measure it. You guys know me, I'm lazy. The other one, the minimum was 14. So I went with the smaller minimum. I paid $20 more for a smaller minimum basin tub. Okay. It's only a 1/3 horsepower. Did I need a full horsepower? No. I've been gone for 1.5 hours and I'm kind of just full now. So they've got your little ratings on here. Where did the ratings go? Right here, performance. Tells you discharge height. Where am I at? I'm at 10 feet. A lot of people don't have 10-foot ceilings. They don't have 5-foot ceilings either. You got about 7, so you're going to be somewhere in between here. It's going to pump 48 gallons per minute. That's a 5-gallon bucket. I only need to pump 5 gallons at a time. And do it, so it's division, maybe, 20 seconds. Who cares? It's pumping. It's not going to burn out. It's submersible. It's underwater. It'll cool off. All right. So let's get this together. All right. So we glued on our end to probably a 4-foot whatever piece of scrap I had. And we're going to thread it in. I've got, you can't see that. It's the Teflon. This is probably one of the only applications I would use this crappy Teflon that comes free with everything. The only reason I want it on there, because it's going to be under the water. I don't care if it leaks. The only reason I want it on there is so I can remove it later. So you put that on there, thread it in there, and then place it in your sump. Do not run your pipes before you put your sump in. The reason I'm saying that, and you can if you want to, but you don't know if that's going to line up with where you put your pump. You want to put your pump in first and then run your lines out. I'm going to do this hand tight. You want to know why? I don't care if it leaks. It's inside the crock, bucket, whatever I want to call it. And then once it's in there, it just keeps going. I don't want to tighten it too much because I might break my glue seal. And then we're just going to take it and we're going to put it in there. Did you want to see me put it in here? I'll show you. I'll put it in there. These things are heavy too, so be a little cautious. It's just right in. There we go. It's in. Ta-da. Okay, so it's in there. You want it sitting level too, so get it on that brick, get it sitting level, and then we'll put on our check valve. Okay, so we got our check valve on, and this just goes on with the 5/16. I got my zip gun, but if you don't have one of those, you can use a ratchet. Just put a 5/16 socket on there, tighten them down. How do you know if they're not tight enough? Well, when it pumps out, it's going to squirt all over the place, so tighten it up after that. So, you know, you don't want to crank down and snap anything, but it should be fine. Okay, so I'm starting to put my pipes in. And as you can see, I'm using purple primer. And the reason purple primer is used so the inspector can see that you actually use cleaner and not just glue. Please clean your joints before you glue them. It etches the surface and it makes a better weld. Yeah, and if you do it upside down, it won't drip and run down like that. So I don't care. It looks like it is going to be what it is. Another thing, your pipes have to be pitched. If you don't have a level, the water's going to be just sitting in there. You want it pitched. You don't want a dramatic pitch. You want just a pitch, you know, just a little over level. And then once you get roughly into the area where you want to start moving, just mock your stuff up first. You know, mock it up and then run it too. So now I'm going to come across, let me get down off this ladder. So now I'm going to run across and I'm going to put a J-hook there. I'm going to put a J-hook here, maybe, and then come down. And that's just, yeah, it's simple like that. Okay, so let's see. Did I run into an issue? I missed. It's not an issue. Because what we're going to do is just spin this until it meets up with that. This elbow is glued, but it's not fixed. So I can just loosen this up and spin it. Not a big deal. So let's do that and glue this together. And there we have it. Just a couple of zip ties. You should always have zip ties. And always clip your zip ties. Just get rid of them. You know, for more professional look. You know, snip your zip ties. And if you want even more professional look, the writing, face it away. Just white, clean pipes. And for even more professional, don't be like me. I'm not a professional plumber. Don't get your purple all over the place. Get it on there, but don't mess it up, you know. But you know. All right. It's all plugged up. Let's wait for it to fill up. Yeah, it is taking too long. Still not full. Still not full. Oh. All right. So let's see how this goes. There we go. That was it. That was it. I hear it going out. That was it. Well, at least it's below ground level now. I guess I could go deeper. I tried shoveling it. It didn't want to shovel any further down, so I would probably need to like get my jackhammer and, you know, bust it up a little. But I could always do this. There. I could always adjust that float too. I think I'm going to adjust the float. Yeah. I don't recommend you doing that because, you know, that's like void of warranty, stuff like that. I don't care about my warranty. These things either last or they don't, so I'm going to keep the old one on hand. All right, so one last thing to do. This is where it comes out. And I can see that it's dripping. You want to make sure it's pitched. Mine is pitched. I'm not going to run it over with the lawnmower. And the ground here is pitched down. If your ground is flat, there's a car going by, but if your ground is flat or going back towards your house, You definitely want to extend it out farther than that, because it's just going to go back into the walls, seep through, and get back in there. So don't, yeah, that's not good. Don't do that. All right. So that's how I put in a sump pump. You should really get a real crock and, drill your holes in there. And then you put your cement around the inside, in between the wall and the crock. And maybe hire some guy. But if you're that guy that just can do it yourself, you just need a little show and know-how that, maybe I helped you out. And I'll go over the tools again, so stay tuned after I sign off here if you're thinking about doing this yourself. But look at your local codes too. Don't just say Dixon does it, showed me how to do this. No, don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. I'm Dixon. All right, like and subscribe and stuff. Like I said, stay a little while. I'll show you the stuff I use. So for you all that are just watching, peace, y'all. Alright, for tools, it's nothing too bad. Obviously a tape measure, maybe an adjustable wrench, not one like this. This one's crappy. Hammer, a drill to drill the bucket, a saw to saw the PVC. A level, you should have a level. Basic tools. A shovel to shovel out. Zip ties. Supplies you're going to need. Glue and cleaner. J-hooks for the right size. They come with the nails. So if you don't like nails, use screws, I did use this. You don't have to use that. Like I said, it's in the water. If it leaks inside, it's just leaking inside. No big deal. PVC. Make sure you grab enough. PVC fittings. Buy extra elbows. Take them back and get your money back for the ones you don't use. Even the PVC. If you end up buying an extra 10-footer and you don't use it, take it back. I used a 45 over there. Buy some 45s, buy some couplings, save the receipt, take them back, whatever you don't use. Make sure it's supported well. Now, if you're doing this and you don't have a hole in your floor, you're digging it out for yourself and because you got water issues, you might need a jackhammer if you got cement floor, or, have fun with the sledgehammer. You will need your own receptacle. The receptacle should be on its own breaker. If the kids are playing the Nintendo and they blow the fuse, pop, and then now your basement's flooded. So it should be on its own dedicated line. And that's most codes everywhere. If you're going through a wall, you have brick wall, you're going to need a jackhammer. If you're going through wood, you're going to go up through the wood. Get yourself a hole saw, and make sure the hole saw is going to be just a little bit bigger than your pipe. You don't want to be exact same size and then it doesn't, you can't get it on a pitch, So I lucked out. I had a hole already in this window or whatever you want to call it. And when I put glass block in, I'll just, mortar around it. That's another show. Yeah, that's pretty much all the supplies you need. The check valve is like $10. The PVC's, a couple bucks a fitting, a buck something a fitting. Like I said, take it back if you don't need it. The expensive part, and even the bucket wasn't expensive, but a real crock, if you're going to buy the real crock and you're going to go right, those are expensive and they're pretty darn big. So if you're going to do it right, do it right. I don't have a lot of water in this basement, but I do have a need for the sump pump. So yeah, the stone, don't buy the nice pea gravel. When you buy the stone to go around there, just buy a bag of the cheapest stuff you can find. It's stone. And what the stone does is it holds it in there so it doesn't move, and it, drains well into the bucket. An issue I'm having is the bucket is, getting sucked out, but the water on the outside is not going in. Put more holes in there. Put way bigger holes, not big holes, but, more holes than I did. It'll work. Or, hire a professional, They'll take out the permit for you. You don't have to worry about getting a permit. You don't have to worry about doing it wrong. You don't have to, professional's not going to leave purple stuff like that, So if you're going to take this on, like I said, I've done this. I've done pipe work before, so this is not new to me, and I didn't get any leaks. But when you do your, watch a couple videos on how to put PVC glue on, I'm not going to show you. Watch somebody else's, share the love, somebody else's video. Give them a thumbs up, for helping out. I'm blabbering on, so if you do have any questions about this video, leave a comment in the comments section. I always get back to, the 3 comments that I've had since I've made 100 videos. All right. Peace out, guys.